and welcome back to another episode of Bedtime Stories with Yash, where I, Yash Sharma, reads two new stories to you every single evening. Like always, I'd like to request each one of you who has not subscribed to the channel to please click on the subscribe button under this video and also click on the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of the updates. With that out of the way, let's get started with today's story session. So I've got two new books for you. This one is the Touch and Feel book. It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears. By touch and feel, I mean there are lots of elements on the book that are capable of giving you some sort of sensory feeling. So there's this fur over here. So you can also hear the fur. So that's the fur, and there are other interesting touch and feel elements also in this book. Then the other book that I have is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now both of these are very classic, famous stories from everyone's childhood. So let's begin with the first book, which is Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Deep in the forest lived Daddy Bear, Mummy Bear, and Baby Bear. Our porridge is too hot, said Daddy Bear. Let's go for a walk when it cools. Someone else was out for a walk, a little girl called Goldilocks. Now, Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear, all of them lived in a small house inside the forest. And they were about to eat their porridge. But then Daddy Bear said that the porridge is very hot and let's go for a walk. Meanwhile, it cools. But then there was someone else also in the forest. And her name was Goldilocks. Look at her here. And this is the touch and feel element. That's the fabric of the curtain. I think you can also hear it. Goldilocks was very hungry and very naughty. I will eat this porridge, she said. The first bowl of porridge was too hot. The second bowl of porridge was too cold. But this porridge is just right, said Goldilocks. So the biggest pot, that's the Daddy Bear's pot of porridge, was too hot. The Mama Bear's porridge pot was too cold. And this one, the Baby Bear's porridge, was just right. Now I want to sit down, said Goldilocks. The first chair was too soft and squishy. The second chair was too hard and smooth. But this chair feels just right, said Goldilocks. So this is Daddy Bear's chair, and this is Mama Bear's chair, and this is the Baby Bear's chair. But then she was too heavy for the Baby Bear's chair, so it broke when she sat there. I'm tired, yawned Goldilocks, so I'll find a nice place to sleep. The first bed was too rough and scratchy. The second bed was too frilly and flouncy. But this bed is just right, said Goldilocks. So Papa Bear's bed was too rough and Mama Bear's bed was too frilly and flouncy. You can also see the frill over here. And the Baby Bear's bed was just right, and Goldilocks could fit in it. Soon the bears came home. Someone's been eating my porridge, growled Daddy Bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair, grumbled Mummy Bear. Someone's been sleeping in my bed, and there she is, squealed Baby Bear. Goldilocks ran out of the door and they never saw her again. So Daddy Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear, all of them discover, that means they find out that someone's been eating their porridge, or someone's been sitting on their bed, or someone's been sitting in their chair. And Goldilocks just wakes up at that moment and she feels really scared and then goes out of the door and they never see her again. So let me know how you like this book in the comments down below. And let's move on to the second book for the evening that we have, which is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now this is another classic story from my childhood and even before that. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, a king and queen had a beautiful baby girl. Her hair was black as night, skin white as snow, and cheeks red as blood. They lovingly named her Snow White. Unfortunately, the queen died and the king remarried. So that's the king, the queen, and Snow White. See how beautiful she is? She was very fair. She had black hair, pitch black hair, and cheeks and skin as white as snow and red blood cheeks. That's why they called her Snow White. Snow White's stepmother was beautiful but very evil. She owned a magical mirror. She would constantly ask it one question: Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And the mirror would always reply, You, my queen, are the most beautiful. Years passed by, and Snow White became more beautiful. Jealous of her beauty, when the evil queen asked the mirror, Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The mirror replied, You still are beautiful, my queen, but Snow White is the fairest I have ever seen. The queen shouted in anger, I shall have Snow White murdered. She called a huntsman and ordered him to kill Snow White. So this is the queen and her magical mirror. And that's queen next to Snow White. Who do you think is more beautiful? Let me know in the comments below. The next morning, when the huntsman took Snow White to the woods to kill her, he had a change of heart and left Snow White there. She walked around in the woods. Finally, she came across a tiny cottage. She walked inside to see that all the furniture was very small. Snow White ate some food and went to sleep. At night, the 7 dwarfs who stayed in that cottage returned home. They were surprised to see a girl over there. So the next morning, when the huntsman took Snow White outside in the forest to kill her, he had a change of heart. That means he didn't want to kill her anymore. And then he went to the castle again and told the queen that he killed Snow White. But Snow White was still wandering in the forest, and she came across a tiny house. Now, whose house was that? Let's go and find out. When Snow White woke up, she told them what had happened with her. Please stay with us, said the dwarfs. Snow White thanked them for their kindness. So this is Snow White with the 7 dwarfs. And the house belonged to the 7 dwarfs. Meanwhile, at the palace, the huntsman lied to the queen about killing Snow White. When she went up to the mirror and asked the question, the mirror replied, The fairest in this land is Snow White, who lives in a cottage with the 7 dwarfs. The queen got angry and decided to kill Snow White herself. She disguised herself as a peasant woman and headed for the woods with a poisonous apple. The queen knocked on the cottage door. Who is it? Asked Snow White. I have come to sell sweet juicy apples. Would you like to try one, my dear child? So this is Snow White and the queen disguised as the peasant woman who has come to sell apples. The dwarfs had told her not to open the door for strangers, but she was tempted. So she opened the door and took the apple. As soon as she bit into it, she died. So the dwarfs had told her that something bad can happen if you open the door for strangers. So don't open the door for anyone. But she was hungry, it seems, and she felt tempted looking at the juicy apples. And she took that apple from the peasant woman, and then she ate it, and then she died. When the dwarfs returned home, they were shocked. What happened to our dear Snow White? They asked. The dwarfs then made a resting place for her. So they felt that Snow White is dead, and she was dead actually. So they made a resting place for her so that she could rest in peace. Few days later, a prince came riding by. He saw Snow White and fell in love with her. He tried to lift her, and when he touched her, Snow White came back to life. So this is the prince who had come, who was passing by from there, Snow White's resting place, and he just saw her and fell in love with her. He said, what a beautiful lady, but why is she lying down? And as soon as he tried to touch her, she came back to life. The prince asked Snow White if she would marry him, and she agreed. They returned to his palace and lived happily ever after. So the prince and Snow White got married, and they started living in his palace, and they lived happily ever after. Look at the cute little 7 dwarfs dancing with them. So that was the story of Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Let me know how you like the story in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.